I never thought this would be my story. That one day, I'd look back on my life and draw a line before my son found out and after. Before, I was Daniel Martin, just another suburban dad with a good job, a beautiful house in Naperville, a devoted wife named Emily, and 2 kids, Max 13 and Lily 9. I grilled on Sundays, coached Max's little league, kissed Emily on the cheek before heading to my job as a regional manager for a logistics company. It was all perfectly normal. Maybe too normal. That's probably why I did it. Her name was Alyssa. She was 31, a marketing rep at a trade show in Seattle. It started with a conversation at the hotel bar, then drinks, then dinner, and by the 3rd night, something more. I told myself it was a fling, a moment. I flew back to Chicago thinking it was over, but we stayed in touch. Then I started traveling for work more often, meeting her in different cities, booking conference rooms I never used, using business expenses for personal sins. And back home, I kissed Emily's forehead every night like a coward. Max started acting distant around Christmas. At first, I chalked it up to teenage hormones. He was 13, moody, quiet, buried in his phone. But something in his eyes shifted. Not teenage coldness, disappointment. One night in January, after dinner, he asked, "Dad, who's Alyssa?" I choked on my water. "What?" He shrugged. "Just wondering. You text her a lot. More than Mom." My heart stopped. He didn't look up, just stirred the mashed potatoes on his plate. I tried to recover. "She's someone from work. She handles marketing. We've been working on a campaign." He nodded, expression unreadable. "Yeah, that's what I figured." Then he got up and went to his room. That night, I snuck into his room after he'd gone to bed. His iPad was on the desk, unlocked. I wish I hadn't looked. He had screenshots, text between me and Alyssa from my synced iMessage account, photos, one of us in a hotel bed, one where I was shirtless, smiling at the camera like an idiot. He had seen everything. The next morning, Emily was standing in the kitchen when I walked in. She didn't say good morning, just held up Max's iPad and asked, "Is this real?" My world collapsed. The fallout was quiet but catastrophic. Emily moved into the guest bedroom. She told the kids we were figuring things out, but I knew she didn't believe it herself. Lily started asking why Mommy cried in the shower. Max barely looked at me. The house was filled with noise, but none of it was joy. Only tension. Only grief. One evening, Max finally broke the silence. "I didn't tell Mom to hurt you," he said. "I told her because I couldn't look at you and not say anything. It felt wrong. And I don't want to be like you." He didn't yell. He didn't cry. That hurt worse. I stopped seeing Alyssa. That part was easy. The hard part was staying in the house with people who used to trust me. Max wouldn't let me coach his baseball games anymore. I sat in the stands alone while other dads high-fived their kids. Emily started therapy. I joined a different one. Some nights, I hear her cry through the wall. Some nights, Max locks his door. Lily still hugs me. She's too young to understand, but I know that one day she will, and I dread that conversation more than anything. Sometimes your worst reflection isn't in a mirror. It's in your son, when he looks at you with the disappointment of a boy who once thought you were invincible, and who now sees you for what you are, human, flawed, and for the first time, truly afraid of losing everything. It's weird how everything can look the same and feel completely different. Same kitchen, same backyard, same car rides to school. But now, when Dad's behind the wheel, there's this silence between us that wasn't there before. Not angry silence, just hollow, like we both know something died, and no one knows how to bury it. Sometimes he tries. "Hey, buddy, how was school today?" Or, "You want to shoot hoops later?" I shrug, say, "I'm good," and put my headphones on, because if I say more, I might say something I can't take back. A few weeks after everything came out, he left a note on my desk, just a folded piece of paper. Inside, "You're right. I failed. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'll be here. If you ever want to talk, yell, scream, or throw a baseball at me. I'm still your dad. I still love you. that hasn't changed. I read it once, maybe twice, then shoved it in my drawer under my socks. Not because I didn't care, but because I did. Mom's trying to keep it all together. She wakes us up for school, makes pancakes on Saturdays like always, but her eyes look tired all the time. Not sleepy tired, heart tired. I catch her staring out the window sometimes, like she's trying to figure out if staying is the right decision, or she's just too afraid to leave. One night, I walked past her room and heard her whispering on the phone to Aunt Jessica. I don't know if I still love him. I just hate that Max had to be the one to find out. I went back to my room and didn't sleep at all. At school, I'm different now too. More quiet, more focused. My best friend Josh noticed. "You okay, dude?" he asked one day during lunch. I nodded. "Yeah, just stuff at home." He didn't press. That's why he's my best friend. He knows how to leave space when you need it. But when I looked around the cafeteria, at the kids laughing, joking, throwing fries at each other, I realized how heavy I felt, like I'd aged 10 years in 2 months. Last week, I had a dream. Dad was back to being Dad, telling jokes, cheering at my game, tossing me a water bottle like always. In the dream, I laughed with him like nothing had ever happened. Then I woke up and felt this knot in my chest because I missed him, not this version of him, but the one I thought I had. And that's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just break trust. It breaks memory. I can't tell if the good moments were ever really real now. I question everything, but I'm still just 13. I don't know if they'll get divorced. I don't know if things will ever feel normal again. All I know is this. Sometimes you grow up in one night, not because you want to, because someone you love made a choice you'll never unsee. And now, every time I look at him, I don't see my hero anymore. I see a man who made a mistake, and the son who still tries to decide if he can ever forgive it. Spring came early in Chicago that year. The snow melted fast, and with it, something inside our home started to thaw too, but not in the way I expected, not back to what we were, just into something new, something quieter. Mom started going to therapy every Wednesday. Dad, too. Different days, different times. Sometimes I catch them talking in low voices in the kitchen, like they were carefully holding pieces of broken glass between them, trying not to bleed. Lily didn't know why Dad wasn't at bedtime stories anymore. I think she started pretending she didn't notice. She still asked him to braid her hair, still brought him her drawings. Maybe she forgave faster. Or maybe she just hadn't learned yet what betrayal means. But me? I stayed guarded. One Sunday, Dad came to my room. He didn't knock, just stood in the doorway, holding his old baseball glove. I thought maybe we could throw a few, if you want. I didn't answer, just stared at him. He didn't knock, just stood in the doorway, holding his old baseball glove. I thought maybe we could throw a few, if you want. I didn't answer, just stared at him. Finally, I said, "I don't know how to talk to you." He nodded. "That's okay. We don't have to talk. We can just throw." So we did. We didn't say much. Just the sound of the ball hitting leather back and forth, like it used to be before I knew. And something about that silence felt different from the others. Not empty, not angry, just honest. That was the start of something new. Not a full fix, not a clean slate, just the beginning. Weeks passed, then months. I never forgot what he did. I don't think I ever will. But one night, as we packed for a weekend tournament, I caught myself calling out, "Dad, can you grab my glove?" He looked up surprised. So was I, because I hadn't called him Dad in months. Here's the truth. Some wounds don't heal with time. They just become part of the skin you grow around. I'm still learning how to live with what I saw, still figuring out if I can fully forgive him. But I'm trying. And so is he. Maybe that's what real strength looks like. Not being perfect, but showing up every day anyway, even after the damage is done. Because heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they fall. And sometimes, if they're lucky, they get a second chance to stand.